Right now, they have these investable funds that we call, and that's about 1.3 trillion in the case of Land Bank. In the case of DBP, they have about 800 billion na investable funds.
What is the main objective of this fund? I've heard so many things from so many people that has changed so many times. So once and for all, ano ba yung gusto nating objective dito?
Siguro, sir, baka that is something that we need to clarify in the bill.
Forgive me, ma'am. I'm basing my questions on the bill itself and not on what is not written on the bill. It did not specify here. It simply gave a blanket exemption. So you're seeking to create a hybrid corporation that has all the benefits of a government entity, exemptions sa salary standardization, exemptions sa procurement law, exemptions sa payment of taxes, both national and local. If it's only the delay that you're afraid, I'm telling you already, the bill will be delayed because there are so many gaps and loopholes in the bill.
We want to do a lot of things sa national government. But right now, we are constrained because we have very limited resources. But we're saying also, now we can tap naman from other sources. So like in the case of Land Bank and DBP, right now they have these investable funds that we call. And that's about 1.3 trillion in the case of Land Bank. Ma'am Cecil, please correct me.
That's correct, Treasurer Leia. as
Yes,
of end
ma'am.
of
I know that.
Po, in the case of DBP, they have about 800 billion na investable funds. So we're just carving a very small portion of that. In the case of Land Bank po, less than 4%.
Ma'am, forgive me, ma'am. You're not answering my question. What is your objective? What do you want to accomplish when we invest these funds?
So we'd like to do more of the infrastructure projects. Of course, we have our PPP. We have also our national government projects.
Ma'am, to cut you short, the bill of Senator Villar says except infrastructure project. Nakalagay dito. Section 30.
Pwede sa investments, pwede sa business.
Yes, yung sa profits. Yung sa profits. I'm not talking about the investments yet. Yung kikitain natin dito, saan nyo gagamitin?
Yung kikitain, una po, yung una pong pondo, pwede pong gamitin for more infrastructure projects at hindi lang po infrastructure projects. But
No,
po,
yung pondo.
opo,
Yung kita.
yung ngayon po, dapat lilinisin muna natin to be able to provide for the contributions ng Land Bank at DBP.
Although wala pa ngayon sa bill, gagawin pa lang natin.
So medyo para may balik po sa kanila. Ngayon po may sobra, and then of course yung pong sobra, 25% of that na nag-accrue sa national government contributions, ilalagay po natin for the social services, mga healthcare projects, and this could also be additional, no? Para at the same time, mas makakaluwag po sa budget, sa fiscal space po natin ng national government.
Ma'am, social welfare projects, it says in section 35, excluding infrastructure projects.
Hindi po.
So yung kita, hindi gagastusin sa infrastructure. Puro social welfare lahat ng kita.
25%, sir, na kina-carve out. Yung po ilalagay sa social projects, sa mga social amelioration projects natin.
Yung balanse,
Yung balancing
na 75%,
ng MIC, pwede pong retained earnings na po yun, di ba, ng MIC.
hindi ko alam. Hindi nakalagay dito.
Magiging retained earnings. Sir, sa ordinary business operations that will form part of the retained earnings. So, pwede po yung paikutin para then it can again be leveraged para magkaroon po ng mga co-investments, ng joint ventures.
Ma'am, nakalagay po sa section 35, doon pa lang muna tayo. 25% of the net profits shall be for poverty alleviation projects, provided the remainder of the net profits shall be remitted to the national government, earmarked for social welfare programs, excluding infrastructure projects. So, that seems to counter what you're saying, that 25% of net profits will be for social amelioration projects, and the remaining 75% is retained. Ang sinasabi po dito, the remaining of the net profits shall be remitted to the national government. Walang sinasabing retained earnings po sa section 35.
Siguro, sir, baka that is something that we need to clarify in the bill. Kasi po, definitely, sir, hindi naman po pwedeng lahat, kung hindi po contributions ng national
Agree.
government po yun, mapupunta pa sa national government.
Agree.
So, I'm sure meron pong other co-investors that they would also want to get their money back.
Forgive me, ma'am. I'm basing my questions on the bill itself and not on what is not written on the bill. If you seek to add to it later on, then perhaps
Yes, sir.
the economic team can suggest the corresponding changes to address these concerns. Now, on the actual fund, net profits tayo kanina eh. Saan natin i-invest? Securities?
Pwede po. Meron pong listing dito, yung allowable investments.
Nakita ko nga.
Opo.
Securities, bonds, di ba?
Opo.
Next question, ma'am. I discussed this earlier. Paano yung composition ng board? Bakit isa lang ang representative ng Land Bank kung ang target natin is 100 billion? Ano ba yung capitalization na tinitingnan nyo ng Maharlika Investment Fund? How much is the capitalization?
Sir, for the seed, so meron pong 75 billion from DBP and Land Bank. Tapos po, right now, if you will just base it on dun sa BSP, yung first 2 years nila, and base if it's the dividend last year of about 17 billion, tapos po, meron pong PAGCOR na yung, again, if you base it on the dividend, so more or less mga 100 billion po, 100 billion pesos.
Ma'am, I agree with the more or less 100, but we are organizing this corporation by virtue of a law, not under the corporation code. Right, ma'am?
Tama po.
Hindi ba dapat may capitalization yung batas? This does not have any. It simply talks of the contribution of Land Bank, of DBP, 10% ng PAGCOR, baka may mag-invest ng private sector. I mean, that it's a law, it's not an excuse not to have a capitalization, authorized capitalization requirement. The bill does not, both versions, both the House and the Senate. So what would be, para kung mag-i-increase tayo ng capitalization, di ba? Hindi yung decision lang ng board, hindi naman IRR lang. Like with any other corporation, they should go through the process since this is mandated by law, i-amend yung batas just like the BSP charter. Di ba? Nung nag-increase tayo ng capitalization ninyo, we had to amend the law. The same is true here. Kindly provide for a specific authorized capital of the MIF. And going to the composition, kung 100 billion yung nalagay nyo, ma'am, Land Bank 50 billion, again, Attorney Mortel, I think, will agree with me that if the capital contribution of Land Bank is 50%, prudence and practice to protect their investment would dictate that 50% of the members of the board should come. Ganun naman yung korporasyon, di ba? 50% ng kapital galing sa akin, edi 50% ng board akin.
Section 9.
25% ng kapital galing sa DBP, 25% galing sa kanila. Where did this formula come from? Now, if you want proper corporate governance, hindi ba tama lang na Land Bank should have the proportional representation in the board to their investment so that they can protect their investment? Same is true for DBP, same is true for PAGCOR, same is true for private individuals. In fact, you allocated already representation for future private investors na wala pa naman silang binibigay na pera. Why will they have one vote similar to Land Bank who contributed 50 billion? Isn't that, to say the least, unfair? Isn't that going against basic corporate governance and practice? Ma'am, please.
Sir, sa section 19 po, nakalagay, so we have yung 15-member board, yung Secretary of Finance, tapos po yung CEO na MIC, yung president, tapos yung Land Bank and DBP, and there would be 6 regular members representing the contributors to the fund, which are really Land Bank and DBP, in accordance with the proportion of their corresponding investments. So baka
Ma'am, sa 6 lang nag-a-apply yung proportional contribution nila, hindi sa 15? Ganun ba yan? Unang beses ko yata makarinig ng korporasyon na ganyan. Na meron kang cap kung ano saan mag-a-apply lang investment. Now, let's take your word for it. For example, kung 50% ang Land Bank, 25% ang DBP, to understand saan ang galing yung hindi natin sinunod sa isang korporasyon, yung capital contribution ng investors. And since we do not know yet how much the 10% of PAGCOR will be, bibigyan mo pa sila ng share dun sa 6. And then the private sector are given 5. You don't even know. I mean, sige, may independent director, but may academe. Nagbigay ba si academe? Si private sector na pipiliin niyo, kung sino man negosyante siya, nagbigay ba siya? Did he invest? There must be some rhyme and reason behind it, why we're choosing the people to sit there. The Secretary of Finance sits as the chairperson. May contribution ba ang national government? Or counted na yung contribution ng land bank that he chairs as, I mean, no, I don't know nga. Is that how you look at it? I don't know.
Percent owned po ng DBP, ng national government ang DBP at ang land bank.
So ika-count ko siya. So you have 8 out of 15 coming from land bank, DBP, kung binibilang ko Secretary of Finance, it's still not 75%. Now, my question is, shouldn't it reflect the capital contribution? Mr. Mortel, sir?
Good morning, Your Honors. I will venture to provide my insights on this. I think the issue is cropping up because of the treatment of the kind of entity created. Here, it would appear, because it is an MIC, it would appear that it is a corporation. And that having so, the question of Senator Escudero perhaps is on the reflection if it is treated as a stock corporation. But if the entity is treated as a government entities with corporate body, then their submission could perhaps be accommodated. But not if the creation is entirely on the treatment of the same being a corporation. That's my submission, Your Honor.
My presumption, sir, is that's why we're exempting them in the salary standardization law, the GCG law. We're exempting them from everything. Payment of taxes, procurement law. The intention is for this company to operate as a private entity. That the principles of business would apply to this corporation and should therefore reflect to the corresponding interest and stakeholding of the contributors to the fund. Otherwise, it will be just like BSP. Created by law, kami nagpangalan ng lahat, national government nagko-contribute, okay lang. So, may I ask, Ma'am Lea, so is Attorney Mortel correct? Ang tingin nyo rito, hindi ordinaryong korporasyon, we will not treat it as a corporation, and yet you said in the proposed bill, you will treat this as an ordinary corporation wherein the rules of corporate governance would apply. Ma'am?
Given that the contributions are coming also from the state-owned enterprises, and eventually there will also be contributions from the national government, as we have cited from the proceeds of privatization, from some of the proceeds of the fiscal regime of the mining sector. So eventually, tama po, magiging GOCC po siya. But we are asking for the exemptions from the GCG, from the salary standardization, from the Government Procurement Act. So it would be running on a commercial basis.
So hybrid siya, ma'am? Ma'am, forgive me, ma'am.
Ganon din po kasi yung formulation sa corporations like Temasek, even like sa Indonesia. So ganon din po yung structure niya.
Yes, ma'am. But there are distinctions between Temasek and INA in relation to what we are proposing here. So just to clarify, so you're seeking to create a hybrid corporation that has all the benefits of a government entity, exemptions sa salary standardization, exemptions sa procurement law, exemptions sa payment of taxes, both national and local, which will wreak havoc, by the way, because when they invest in stocks and buy and sell stocks, ang hirap i-track nun, ha? But anyway, we will go there at another time. But, and when you buy and sell properties too, government bonds, etc., etc. But anyway, my point is, getting all of those benefits and yet not being treated as a business entity that can function as if it were a private venture.
Mr. Chair, with the indulgence of Senator Escudero.
Is that is it with the if it's okay with Senator? Yes, please proceed.
Yes.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. Salamat, Sen. Escudero. Quick interjection lang po. Nabanggit na naman yung INA. In the case of INA, ang board po nila 5 individual lamang. Tapos ang advisory board nila 5. And lastly po, sa questioning ni Sen. Escudero, sinabi po ni Attorney Mortel ng GCG, baka ituturing ito or itinuturing itong Maharlika na government entity with a corporate body. So just for the record, Mr. Chair, and with all due respect to the Chair, kaya nga po in plenary, although nag-rule na dito ang ating ang plenary, kaya po ni-raise ni Minority Leader yung matter of the referral of the bill. Kaya po pinost niya at that point in time na baka sa Government Corporations Committee. Kasi po kung hindi malinaw din, Mr. Chair, ang executive kung anong animal itong Maharlika, nakakalito pati sa atin dito sa Senado. So just for the record, Mr. Chair, and then again with all due respect. Salamat po, Mr. Chair. Salamat, Sen. Escudero.
Thank you. Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Give me a couple of minutes, Mr. Chairman. Now, let's talk about the exemption sa GCG. May I ask why? Essentially, the GCG reviews whoever you will appoint in the board.
Yes, Your
Now you created an advisory body to make the corresponding recommendations sans the GCG. May I ask why? How will the operation of MIF be hindered if the appointments to the board go through GCG? The usual course, if it is indeed a GOCC. Anong problema ba ng GCG na ayaw niyong padaanin sa kanila? What will be hindered if it goes through GCG? I understand, DBP, dumadaan sa GCG, di ba? Land Bank, same. So, ano yung hindi nyo magagawa o makukuha kung dumaan sa GCG kaya ayaw nyo? What's the logic behind it, ma'am?
Siguro po, given yung experience ng mga government corporations namin in terms of yung pagpapadaan sa GCG, dahil sa dami rin po ng ine-evaluate nila, yung due diligence po nila, so medyo nagkakaroon lang po ng time-consuming. But if it would just be through the advisory body na ang composition naman po ang ating Department of Budget and Management Secretary, ang NEDA Secretary. So there also would be in a best position to be able to have a determination of who should sit dun po sa board.
Ma'am, if it's only time that you're concerned about, I would presume that the GCG is really busy at the beginning of any administration. It's been 6 months. Halos na fill up na halos lahat ng government corporations. Kung may backlog man sila, tapos na yon. So it's only time. So we include as part of the bill. I-prioritize nila to. I mean, if it's only the delay that you're afraid, I'm telling you already, the bill will be delayed because there are so many gaps and loopholes in the bill. So the GCG will have time. You can already start processing some of the names as soon as it is approved. What else, ma'am? Because I wonder why you don't want the GCG to go through the nominees. I presume all of these will be via a letter of intent signed by the president. It will go through the advisory board. The advisory board cannot just take up applications from whoever, di ba? As it is with the GCG. May letter of intent, ang Secretary of Finance o ang Presidente, depende sa korporasyon, which the GCG will process, and if they approve it, then the appointment or the designation will be affected. So why else, ma'am? Aside from the time constraint, bakit nyo ayaw dumaan sa GCG? Anong ayaw nyo sa GCG kung bakit nyo ayaw padaanin? Aside from the time.
Hindi lang, if I may, Your Honor, hindi lang po kasi naman in terms of the nominations to the board ang ginagawa ng GCG, marami rin po silang ginagawa, evaluating po yung performance scorecard and the like, no? So, maraming preoccupation na might also delay in terms of the nominations to the board for the Maharlika Fund. And we see naman po with this, advisory committee, na they would be in a best position to be able to know who should really the best minds to be able to make the MIC function very well. So yun po yung the rationale behind bakit hindi na lang po dadaan sa GCG.
The main reason why GCG has a permanent term is to guarantee independence. All of the people you're mentioning, DBM, DOF, and ED, are all coterminous with the president and serve at his pleasure. They're all coming from one side. In fact, the main reason why GCG is there is to provide a different and separate perspective. Dahil wala naman sigurong isang tao nagmamayari ng lahat ng talino, galing at magandang intensyon para sa bansa, di ba? Maganda rin mapakinggan yung iba. And the same is true here. If you really want this MIF to succeed, the more heads that are participating in crafting policies and being a part of it, I think it would be better and best than simply all coming from one and the same group, all obeying the command and will of the president because they're all coterminous with the president and serve at his pleasure, unlike the GCG. Moving to the next point, ma'am. Why exemption from the procurement law? Including purchase of, ano bang papers yung sinasabi niyo exemption? Pati supplies niyo, exempted sa procurement law? Papel, stapler, ribbon, computer.
I think ang sinasabi po sa procurement law are technical services. Yung pong pag-e-evaluate, like if they're going to get po yung fund managers, so that would be exempted from the Government Procurement Act.
It did not specify here. It simply gave a blanket exemption sa procurement law. Again, I'm talking about purchase of supplies, not only fund managers. I'm talking about purchase of vehicles. I'm talking about rental or purchase of a building or rental of a building or office space. I'm talking of almost everything and anything. Would you change it later on, ma'am, to specify?
Siguro po, there would have to be some clarity. Pero po sa Section 32, nakalagay po doon yung engagement of professional or technical services needed in the selection of investments as authorized in this act, such as fund management, investment, etc. po.
I agree, ma'am. Pero hindi nga ini-specify kung anong kasama. Exempted lang. So yun lang ba ang intention nyo? So we will specify that.